Hello everyone, it's Kelsey. I'm coming on today to talk a little bit about some rendering that I do for an architect here in Orange County, David M. Parker. So what he's having me do this week for the project is I have a landscape rendering that I need to do. So he has the plans, the drawings that he's made up on his computer that he's printed out for me. This is a practice sheet so that I can draw a little bit and then show him and make sure it's what he wants, and then I'll move on to the final page. So each of these little symbols represents something else. So these ones, they're different kinds of plants, and then there's some bigger trees over here and then a really big tree here, or right there. And then I'm going to also put in the concrete. And he's given me some examples of what kind of look that he's going for. So these are what I use to guide me artistically. This is the kind of color palette that he wants. He also really likes the little bits of purple in this one. You can see that, little bits of purple in there. So the idea is to take these references and the feedback that he's given me and use that to fill in some of these colors. So I have my Prismacolor markers here, or not markers. I do love Prismacolor markers, but these are pencils. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a couple different colors for a tree, as well as, hold on, I'm missing my Micron pens. All right, so I'm gonna go through and draw in the edges of these trees to make them look more like squiggly around the edges, kind of how you can see that. Yeah, so the edge like that is not how it's drawn on the computer program. He just uses circles for that. So I'm gonna go through with my Micron pens and swiggle around the edges and make them how they're done there. And then after that, I'm gonna take some different greens. And he wants me to use different kinds of greens for each of the trees. Not every single tree, but kind of groupings of trees, so to have several different variety of trees in the drawing itself. So I have this here, which probably will be a good one, except that I'm almost out of it, so I might have to limit that one a little bit so I don't have to go and buy another pencil. This is strategic thinking here. And then there's another green here. So what I'll do is I'll take these greens and I'm going to start out with a lighter color for a base. This one might be a good one. This is Nameless. This is 404. I feel like it should have a name, but it doesn't. This is Grass Green. And this is Yellow Green, and then I also have some different sort of blue colors. This is 305. Kind of a bummer they don't have all of the real names on there. I can also take yellow and that light bulb keeps coming on and off. Yellow and blue and mix my own green in certain situations, and then I can pick out some different, maybe some pinks, maybe some reds, bring in some of that purple color that he liked, and use that as well. But I'm going to focus on the trees first. Actually, I might start out with putting in a base. I'm looking at my picture over here. Putting in a base, just a base tone that I can put under all of the trees so that there's not trees on white paper and then I have to fill in each of those itty bitty little tiny white spots. So, I might actually put, see, here's another green color. It's like a bluish, really light bluish green. But I think I want quite a bit of warmth for the base color. So I think what I'm going to do is actually put in the base color with this Sunburst Yellow, I think. Let's see, what else do we got here? Yeah, I think Sunburst Yellow is going to work. because that way, whatever green I layer on top of it will still be green. So I'm gonna go through kind of like you see here, like in this area, and sort of fill in the larger patches first. So I'll bring you guys down with me. All right, can we see? All right. So since I'm working in a larger area, I'm gonna kind of have the pencil on its side, like this. Really light. I'm just gonna move across the page. For this, you don't really need a lot of variety in the texture because, like I said, it's a base color. You really just want it to cover as much of the space as possible. I'm gonna go over here and do some over here. And then, yeah, and I should actually have done the little outlines first, because I honestly don't know if my Prismacolor, or my Micron is gonna go over that. Oh yeah, we're good. So, kind of roughen up those edges like so, and same with over here. And I was told that I'm allowed to have some artistic license with this, so I'm really excited, because that means I can put my own flair and I don't have to worry about having it be super, super geometric. So there's kind of some trees there, and there's that light again. So now that I have a little bit of a base color, I'm going to decide which trees I want to be which color. So I think these littler ones, I'm going to go in with this. And I'm going to kind of radiate out from a center point here, because it's like you're looking down on a plant. And they do have that center stalk with the other leaves coming across it. So I'm going to make this one that same color. And then maybe one more that color. So we'll do this one that color as well. So that's kind of the base color of that yellow for coverage. And then this color here will establish whether that tree is going to be a warmer green or a cooler green. And because I'm using sort of a bluish teal, it's going to be a cooler green. That light is driving me nuts. So then I'm going to go through, since I'm using a cooler green, I think I want to keep using something that's a little bit more cool. So I'm going to use peacock green now, and I'm going to put in some shadows. And I'm just going to do one side, not the whole thing, and kind of blend them towards that center point that I talked about. And same with this one over here. And then this little guy over here. So that will kind of establish that. And then, just for a little bit of added depth, I think I'm gonna go through with this color, which is blue indigo, and just go really, just a tiny little bit in the edges there. Almost exactly where I put the lines that I did earlier. So there's those little plants there. A little more there. And then these ones, I'm going to make a much warmer green. So I'm going to go through with my yellow green and do the same thing. I'm going to radiate out. And when I actually do the final thing, I might not use this yellow underneath because I'm finding it's difficult to draw over. I'm not getting as much saturation as I would like. And then he also said that I could kind of do little lines coming out from the center to look like branches. And this is kind of how he drew it when he gave me an example. So there's that. I can kind of do that. And then I'm going to go through and use my grass green. Create a little bit of texture, a little bit of leveling here. And then I'm gonna go through with, not my blue indigo, I think I'm going to use, let's see, I'm gonna use this, which is sepia. And just give that, because that'll keep it really warm, but that'll still establish shadows. And because I already have such a green base, it's not gonna make it look overly brown. See? So there's that. And then he also wants me to do some colored plants. So maybe I'll throw in a little purple guy right here, a little purple and red one. So we'll go through, give that a little bit of color. A good thing to note is that the purple and the sort of indigo color are gonna complement pretty well as the purple with the yellow. That's a pretty good complement too. So I'm gonna get that a little bit more texture in there. And then I'm gonna go through with this, which is 330. I wish it had a name, but it's kind of more pinkish color, and throw just like a little bit of that in there. And then I think that I'll still use the indigo for just a little bit of shadowing through like that. So there's a little flowering plant there. And then I will, my hand is aching. I will go through this entire space and create textures for the rocks. These like are little rocks here. And so I'll do those different colors of grays. I'll put a little bit of speckling on those as well. And then he also wants me to color the concrete here. So for the concrete, I'm gonna start relatively smooth with that color. So I will start with, let's see, how about this color for the concrete? This here is Sandbar Brown. So, and I'm gonna, the same as I did with the yellow, just really broad strokes, using it on its side. You can even hold it like this. This is how art teachers would want you to hold it. And that's gonna create a very nice broad stroke, almost like a paintbrush, and a very even tone all the way across that will be used for our base for the concrete. And since this is just the example, I don't have to do a whole lot. He just needs to see what kind of look I'm going to give to the overall piece. So now that I have that, the next layer I do want to have a little bit more texture. And I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm actually gonna put, you still see that pretty well? I know there's shadows and annoying things. What is that shadow even coming from? Is that the shadow of my arm? My hand? What is that? It's gotta be my arm, right? Yeah, okay. What is my life about? All right, so I'm gonna come through and I'm gonna vary this just a little bit because I don't want the whole thing to become purple. I just want a little bit of that tone in there. So I'm gonna work a little bit like this. Give it just a little bit of a heavier hand. And this back and forth motion is what's gonna create a little bit of that texture that you want so that it's not completely flat. So there's that. And then in the picture, there's almost like a reddish sort of brown that's in there. So I'm going to use this color, which is 344, and go back over again, really, really light like that. And I'm gonna sort of fill in the spaces that didn't get filled in with the purple. I don't want like it to be too liney, so I'm gonna keep sort of varying my approach here. And we'll see if he likes that. And maybe I'll throw a little bit of this in here, between these little trees. For the rocks, I think I'll start with this sandbar brown. Fill that guy in there, and then darken it in certain sections to give the rock a texture. Same with this little guy. And then, let's see, there's just the 3 rocks. I'm not sure if I want them all to be the same color. No, I don't. So I'm gonna move over here and do this guy that color, but I am gonna put a little bit of texture on this guy. And then that. And then for the other rocks, I think I'm gonna have them be more the sepia color. So I'm gonna go through and do that. And that. And then in order to unify them all together, when I put in my shadow, I'm going to use the same brown for all of them. So I'm going to use this color and go through and work over that and work over that. And then maybe put in some little speckles as well. And then work over the edges to kind of give it more of a 3D look. So there you go. And I'm gonna do that over the whole space. So I hope this has been interesting for you. If you have questions or comments, leave them down below. And if you are interested in looking at more of David M. Parker's architectural work, you can look him up online. He's based out of Laguna area right now. So yeah.